You have to put one foot in front of the other because you don't know where that journey is going to lead you. And this is your journey. It's your individual journey. So you have to keep going. You have to believe in yourself. You have to dream that big dream. And you have to just absolutely keep going.
Hi everybody, it's Rani on the Chit Chat Jai show. I have got a phenomenal guest today who not only made history, but she's a leadership person who's made so much difference to people in the state of America. I would like to introduce my dear friend and guest, Mona.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
By the way, you look amazing.
Oh,
You know,
thank
your dress, the colors, the power in it is just exactly what we need on today's show.
Thank you.
So if you'd like to tell our guests of who you are and how did you make history?
Sure, absolutely. Well, it's just a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
So my history-making statement, I guess, is that I was a senator in the United States, in Washington State, and I was the first Bihari to ever be elected to state or federal office in the United States.
Well, if I can do the clap myself.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, so then tell me, how did your journey start? What made you go down this? Were you just like a normal person who decided to do a normal type of job and then you wanted to be a senator?
You know, it's a great story. I love telling it. And so my story starts like any great story. It starts in the shower. I do my best thinking in the shower. I know a lot of listeners of yours will also agree that they do their best thinking in the shower. And so one day I was visiting my brother and I got out of the shower and I said, I'm going to be a senator. And we both just laughed because it's absolutely preposterous. I mean, as you know, obviously I'm Indian and half my family are classically doctors. The other half are engineers. So for me to say that I was going to be a senator was just absolutely hilarious. And we laughed.
Didn't he say, go back in the shower, come back, have a different thought and come back?
He didn't, but you know, it was one of those ideas that was just absolutely preposterous. And we laughed. And you know, the funny thing about that is that he doesn't even remember this story, but I do. And so it was that idea that I had that I put on the shelf. And sometimes I would bring it down and I would dust it off. And it still didn't make any sense. It still was funny. So we put it back on the shelf. And I did this for years. And then one day I was walking my dog, Cleveland, and who, believe it or not, has more energy than me. And as
I can't believe that.
Yeah, I know. Many can't. And, you know, if we were walking and I would stop, he would just start pulling and barking. Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. He always wanted to be in a hurry to get to where we were going on our walk. And I literally saw a sign. So I'm walking the dog and I see a sign. It was a yard sign. And I don't know if you have these in the UK, but when people run for office, they often put up yard signs. You know, and this one said, Pramila Jayapal for Senate. And I will tell you, Ronnie, I stood in front of that sign for maybe 5 minutes. Maybe it was 2. Maybe it was 30 seconds. I don't know. It felt like an eternity. And I just was so overcome with emotion. I was crying. I was bawling. I mean, I couldn't believe what I'd seen because I knew when I saw that sign, I knew 4 things. I knew first she was Indian. I knew second it was a woman. I knew third that it said Senate. But most importantly, I knew if she could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
And that is why I believe representation truly matters. And that is why I say yes to every podcast, every event that I can go to share this story because her inspiration inspired me. And I want to be that inspiration for the next generation, for the next woman that's coming along that thinks her dreams are impossible. Not everyone's going to run for office.
Did you think that do you think you were reluctant because of being Indian?
Of course.
Until you saw that sign.
Yeah.
I mean, we do get signs for like the elections are coming up or vote on this day.
Yes.
Sometimes you do get the posters, but you get a lot of people campaigning in those areas. But like you said, the dog, the way your dog kept saying, let's go, and you just stopped.
I stopped. My dog is barking and pulling and wants to keep going, and I just was frozen. Like I said, I literally We all look for signs, right? I literally saw a sign.
Oh yeah, the universe does. Yeah, the universe does
Right,
some weird stuff.
Right,
Yeah.
Right. So, the story has a really amazing ending. So not only did I, 10 years or so later, decide to run for office, not only did I knocked on 8,000 doors to win. So I knocked on 8,000 people's doors and talked to them about my campaign, what I was about, what I cared about, the future that I wanted to see, and, gain input from the community.
Did you get a lot of support from them?
So much support.
Wow.
Right? Not
That's
only that,
amazing.
Ronnie, but I flipped a seat, which means that I made it from, in my country, a Republican seat to a Democratic seat.
Yeah.
And it's almost impossible. It's
Of
very,
course.
very difficult.
Especially
to do
a
that.
woman of color.
Especially a woman of
Yeah,
color.
yeah.
Especially in that election. And so to not only run and win and flip a seat, so then the story ends in such a cool way. You're going to love it.
Did you go back in the shower? No, just joking.
No, I didn't go back in the shower. I mean, of course, I took many showers. But I get to Olympia, which is our state capital in Washington State. And because my last name starts with D, which is at the front of the alphabet, there were 6 people that were elected at the same time as me. So I got to choose the office first.
Okay.
So we went and looked at all the offices, me and my amazing assistant, our chief of staff, and we went and looked at all the offices, and we picked an office. It was the smallest one, but it had a view of the dome. And what I mean by that is in Washington, D.C., the Capitol is a dome building.
Yeah.
With the House on the right and the Senate on the left. And ours is the same in Washington State. And we had a view of that dome from that office. And I said to her, this is the office I think we should pick because we need to be reminded of why we're here. Because all of the people that voted for me sent me here. And I wanted, on those really hard days, and I knew there would be really difficult days. I knew on those hard days I wanted to look at that building and I wanted to remember why I was here, what I was fighting for, and why I was the one to be the change. In my district that I represented, there were 148 languages spoken in my district. And as an immigrant myself, my family came to America with $6 from India. I knew that 148 languages, they're little girls like me, little Monas. And I knew that those little girls need to be represented as well.
No,
and
of
those
course.
families.
Yeah.
Many of them aren't citizens, so they can't even vote. But I was their voice. I was their voice in the Senate. So I wanted to make sure that when I looked at that building, I remembered all the people that I was representing, the little Monas out there, the little DOS families out there. And about 2 weeks after we picked that office, somebody came into my office and said, oh, it's very hard for me to tell the story and not get emotional. They said, oh, you're not going to believe this. This was Pramila Jayapal's old office.
Oh, wow.
So the same woman that inspired me to run for office.
The board you saw when you were
board
walking
I
the dog,
saw.
yeah. It was hers.
It was her office.
It was like a sign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's fine.
So-
yeah.
Yeah, every time I tell that story, I get emotional because it's you can't even dream something like that.
No, you
Right?
can't.
You can't
I mean,
even-
there must be so many like Indian
Yeah.
people out there thinking
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what you've done is
Right.
beyond imaginability, right? And the thing is that you're here today to tell us the story.
Yeah.
You're wearing the cap with such pride. I mean, I'm sure on your journey you must have got a lot of discrimination. Tell us about that.
There's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of racism. There's a lot of people don't want you to be there, because you are going to upset the status quo. You are going to bring forward
You're gonna
things.
change.
You're going to make change.
But you have made change.
Yes.
You've made history
Yes.
as the first Bihari Indian woman to be in the position that you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
It's really powerful. I think for me, it was that legacy of knowing that I was the first and I didn't want to be the last.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people say that they raise their hand down and bring up the next person.
Sure.
I send out an elevator, I fill that elevator up, and I bring it back up because I know how hard and difficult it was for me to get there.
Yeah.
And I want to make it easier for the next person that decides to run and to do something, whatever it is, right? I call them BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. And people have them, right? Those are the things that we put on the shelf. And so like I said earlier, not everyone's going to run for office, but what is the thing that you want to do, the change that you want to bring in the world? And how can we help support that change? What is your impact that you want to make on the world? And, let's work together to make that impact real.
So on that note, from an Indian girl who's
Yeah.
come to America, who's, seen the world, and you think, wow, I've come to America to becoming a senator,
Yeah.
to making history. I'm really proud of you, by the
Thank
way. I
you.
keep
That-
saying it
that
over and
means a
over
lot.
again. I mean, even when I met you, I said that was like, wow. I just looked at you and just listened and listened and listened.
Yeah.
After all that, you decided to write a film.
Yes.
Yes. So tell us about your film journey.
So my movie is called Badass Women Doing Kick-Ass Shit.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say it on your show. I have to beep it out.
You've said it now. We can edit it later.
Yeah, you can edit it out. Yeah. So the movie is about 8 women of color in America, around the country, in different parts of the country, who ran for office. 7 out of 8 of the women won per
Okay.
election.
Yeah.
And it's a really powerful movie, and it's really about women's inspiration. Again, not everyone's going to run for office, but we need you to come alive. We need you to bring your purpose and your mission and your vision into the world because it's necessary. And the voices that have been historically quieted are women of color. And so those are the voices that we need to hear.
Yeah.
And that's what the
And you're
movie is
here
about.
to-
And I'm here
yeah.
to do that, yeah. And that's what the movie is about. The movie is really about inspiration and inspiring the next generation to be all that they can be and do all that they can do, because you can't see it. No, sorry, you can't be it. You can't be it if you don't see it.
Okay.
And that is what this movie is about. When I left the Senate, I wanted to make bigger impact.
Yeah.
And so for me, this movie was the natural extension of what was next and how to make a bigger impact, because I realized that I was one person pushing a big boulder up a mountain. And it's very hard. It's very, very exhausting. But if I could create new Monas and help birth those into life and give that inspiration to other women of color or other women to live their dreams, whatever it is, that I knew that I could leave a legacy in that way.
Yeah. So that's beautiful. That's just so powerful that you're talking about, being an Asian woman and being a senator and being a producer, director. So that within itself is so powerful for women empowerment.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful what you're doing. You also have a podcast as well. And, it's nice to talk about other podcasts on my podcast, because that way you're relating your message to them as well.
Yeah.
What kind of guests have you had? What is that part of your film, or is that something totally different?
It has the same name, Badass Woman.
And then you said you train women as well.
I do,
yeah.
yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I do a lot of training. I one of my biggest skills in running for office was raising money.
Okay.
I have a background in finance, and so raising money is something that I'm very good at. I have a background in sales and business development. And so I was able to raise a lot of money, and that is a very deep skill that many women of color don't have.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that I can help, and it's so necessary. I don't know how politics works in the U.S. In the UK, but
Neither
in the
do
US,
I. I don't think anybody knows how politics works in the UK.
In the U.S., it's all about how much money you can raise.
And this show is no offense to anybody in politics or any kind of background you're from. It's a friendly show about being yourself.
Yeah. And so the work that I do is to help train women to raise money. I do it for a lot of different organizations. And I also started a PAC, which is called a Political Action Committee, and that allows me to raise money for groups of women.
Okay.
And sometimes, it's great to teach them how to raise money, but it's also nice to raise money for them and then just donate it to their campaigns. And so we do that work too.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell me some of your guests that you've
on
been...
the podcast. So we did season 1 last year, and every single woman that we supported on the campaign for their campaigns, we had them as guests on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they shared how they felt and how
Yeah.
you... So tell us a positive story that you've come across. Someone you helped,
So, like I said, in the movie, 7 out of the 8 of the women that ran won. and they changed their communities. They're changing their communities every day. And many times you don't have to, you can't run just once. You have to run multiple times to win.
Okay.
And so one of the women in the movie, Natasha Hill, dear friend of mine, she ran for Congress initially, for U.S. Congress, and then she ended up running for the state Congress, or the state House in our case, and she won.
Wow.
And so that's a really powerful story, because it shows that just because you don't win the first time doesn't mean you don't run again. And then the second time, you learn so much the first time that a lot of times it takes a couple of times for women specifically to run and win. So I'm really proud of her. And I also ran twice.
Yeah.
And so for me, that was big learning lessons for me, and I was able to apply the lessons that I learned. I always say it's not a mistake if you learn the lesson. And so lessons are all around us. We have to just learn them.
Yeah. So why do you think Asian people or people of color are so underrepresented?
I think that we aren't
speaking enough, or
well, it's not a thing, right? Like, we are trained, we are encouraged to be doctors or engineers, right?
or housemakers.
Yeah, and so I think that there's not, and especially in the United States, I don't know about the UK, but it's not a thing. Like, people aren't like, oh, and this, you'll love this statistic. It usually takes a woman 7 to 10 times to be asked to run before she'll consider running for office.
Okay.
Guess how many times I was asked to run for office?
How many?
You have to guess.
10, 20?
0.
Wow.
Because nobody looked at me and my background and thought, oh my gosh, she would be great. And, I passed 28 laws in 4 years.
Wow.
So 28 pieces of legislation are now laws because of my efforts in the Senate, which is unheard of. Many of my colleagues don't pass any bills in a year.
Yeah, that's what I mean about you've made history, because you've changed so many different ways people think of politics, or what's your next step? Let's talk about Moxy.
Yeah. So one thing I'd like to just share is the bills that I did pass, my legacy there. I was known as the single-use plastics warrior for Washington. And I banned plastic bags, I banned styrofoam, and all single-use plastics.
Oh, wow.
So my MBA is in sustainable business, so I, very much care about the earth and future generations, and so those are some of the bills that I'm most proud of.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
And I did a lot of work with diversity and equity, especially for schools and kids, so that their teachers and professors would value their diversity that they're bringing to their classroom as well. So that's the kind of work that I did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So do they allow people with disabilities, or do they add inclusion, disabilities, or anything like that? Do they allow that in the politics? I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. See, like you said, it's like England and in America.
Yeah.
And India, they all have different laws.
Of course.
So it's all about inclusion. Do they add a lot of inclusion?
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are a lot of the bills that I brought forward with the diversity, equity, and inclusion bills to make it more inclusive. And it really comes from my own personal story.
Yeah, from your own journey as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What other things? So let's talk about your Moxy.
Yeah. So my business is called Moxy, and the work that we do, we obviously help other women get elected.
Sure.
The other part of my work is to make bigger impact.
Sure.
And so I work with people who want to make bigger impact in the world, but maybe don't know how or don't know where to start.
Sure.
I'm looking for disruptors. So I love to work with people who want to disrupt whatever industry that they're in, because there's so much disruption that needs to happen and so much impact that people want to make. And because of my background, I know how to get laws passed. I know how to work with legislators, their own local legislators. So if there are folks that are looking to make deeper impact, but really want to take it up to the next level, those are the folks that we work with.
Oh, that's amazing. So is that just based in America, or you'd reach out to everyone all over?
Yeah, no, I've got clients all over the place. Yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
okay, that's amazing. So if anyone's watching, you can say that at the end of the show.
Yeah.
What do you have planned as a director for the next 5 years? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Yeah, so I didn't direct the movie. I was the executive producer for the movie, and I was also in it, actually. Yeah, so I think I've got a vision for doing global women movies. So I want to focus, like, I want to go continent by continent, so global women of impact.
Sure.
In Africa, in Asia, in Europe, in, South America, like all over the place.
Yeah.
We've got some thoughts and ideas about what's next for that. So, yeah.
So you're going to be traveling a lot.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's nice to see somebody of color to be so powerful. Number one, to start off with, from a simple Indian girl to senator. And it's nice because I keep repeating the same things because your journey is just fantastic.
Oh, thank you so
being
much.
an Asian woman, especially in America.
Yeah.
I mean, in England, you do get a variety of Asian ladies, and they have made a lot of change in the world. They've got organizations, but to do it in America must have been very challenging because it's not as lenient and as easier as it would be in England, I guess. Do you find there's a difference between the mentality for brown women being represented in America to England?
Yeah, so
because you've been coming to England.
Yes, I've been spending a lot of time here, and I've met many of your politicians, many who are Black and brown women. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's so many, and they're such role models for the next generation here. And I do think, and I ran in 2018, so it was a very, very different time.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm happy to say, in 2025, it's not as unusual for a woman of color to run for office in America, which I think is great. And it is on the backs of folks like Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal and myself and many others that have run. And I shouldn't say the backs, the shoulders, right? We are the shoulders for others to rise, just like I rose on the shoulders of all the women that ran before me. And it's just really inspiring because you have to see that representation. You have to see that leader to see the leader that's in you.
Yeah.
And I think that's, for me, that's why, like I said, I like to share the story because I know it's powerful. I know it's inspiring because not everyone can do what I did. And I'm very proud of what I did. And, very proud of the collective of people that surrounded me and lifted me up to make sure that not only did I run and flip a seat and win, but that I was successful once I got there.
Yeah. And you're such a humble person.
Oh,
it's not as if like you do people look at you? Do they stop you and say, "Oh, I know you. I voted for you"?
Yeah,
does he start a conversation over a cup of coffee or something?
Of course. Yeah, it's always great to see people, as I run into people all the time that worked on my campaign. We had so many people that volunteered for us and worked on our campaign. And so, when I'm out in the community, when I go back to Seattle, there's a lot of people that remember and recognize, right?
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So, what do you think you should say to our viewers today? Because I know you're pushed for time a little bit today because we went over. But what is it that you'd like to share with our viewers today? And the other thing I was going to suggest was move to London, because then we can help you make these videos and films. Because you know what, your power, the way you speak is just amazing. And one thing I wanted to say in that last question that I asked you was, do you think that the lockdown actually made people step back a bit because of health and the way somebody was there 1 minute and then they got ill? Like, I know life can change like with the click of a finger. Do you find that the lockdown had a big impact on people's perspective of the future?
I think the lockdown affected everything in every manner. And I think the response was very individual. It depended on the person. Some people became more introverted. Some people became more outgoing and extroverted. It just really depended on the person. I think also what I saw a lot of was people stop putting their dreams on hold. Realizing that now's the time. Now, if I'm going to do this crazy thing, I want to do it now, and I need to do it now. And I saw a lot of dreams come true. In fact, our movie was made during COVID.
Yeah, you said. Yeah. That's amazing. And then now, like, if we'd just like to tell the viewers that you can't actually view it yet in UK, but we are in the process.
Yes, working hopefully on a distribution deal for the UK. But in America, you can watch it on Apple TV. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on YouTube. Yeah, it's on all of the channels in the US.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So Mona, I'd like you to just share one thing with our viewers before we go,
Okay.
because I know you're pushed for time. I said it again, but I'm just so happy to have you here today. I can talk to you for ages.
Oh,
It's a
thank
shame we've
you.
got so little time. But
Yeah.
is there something you'd like the viewers to take back
Yeah.
from this interview
Yeah.
today?
And this is when you want me to
Yeah.
do that? Okay. Yeah, I think I have 3 mantras that I live by, and those are to dream big and to believe in yourself. Because what I learned about when I ran for office is people that I thought would be there for me disappeared. And people that I'd never met before got behind me and supported me and lifted me up. And that was so powerful. So believing in yourself is definitely something that I hope your viewers do. I'm speaking to you. Yes, believe in yourself. And the final thing is to keep going. You have to put one foot in front of the other, because you don't know where that journey is going to lead you. And this is your journey. It's your individual journey. So you have to keep going. You have to believe in yourself. You have to dream that big dream. And you have to just absolutely keep going.
That's amazing. Such a beautiful message. Thank you, Mona, for coming today on the show. And I hope this impacts a lot of brown women,
I
or
hope
you know,
so,
like I hope
yeah.
it does, because, like I said, it's like I was asked to join politics, and I said no, thank you. No, it's not me. I'm too outgoing for that. Because I find that it's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
It's a lot, you know. There is a lot of changes we want to make.
Yeah.
So then, being part of another organisation, you still get that satisfaction that, oh, I'm so happy that I was part of that change.
Yes.
Like you stood up for yourself as a brown, powerful woman, who, again, I'm going to say, made history. I should have got your
Yeah.
crown today
Ah.
to say I'm so proud of you. But you
Oh,
know,
thank you.
thank you for coming on the platform today and sharing your story and sharing that message at the end for our viewers. And I'd just like to say, you know, like, let's do this again one time.
Yes.
I don't know how long you're here for. If people want to connect to you, they can. I'll let them know at the end of the
please,
show.
yeah.
But thank you again.
Oh, thank you so
And
much. It was an honor to be here.
Yeah, thank you for, you know, readjusting all your important
of
meetings
course.
and stuff to be here today.
Of course. My pleasure.
Thank you. And what I'd like to say is thank you to everybody for watching. There's one thing I'd like to say about Mona, which I loved. Mona Das remains a beacon of hope and a relentless advocate for sustainable, positive and inclusive future. Now, as you've heard her story, she's changed the world. She's become a brown woman of colour who's made history in America. You can be that change. And if you think you have the power to be someone else apart from the role you're already playing, then be that change. And if you can reach out to one person like Mona has reached out to many people, be that change. Thank you for watching Rani on the Chit Chat Chai show, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.